Good morning, everyone. Alex Corey here, back with cultivatedchange.com with an update on the garden and farming business, KC Gardens. We're checking in on our spring seedlings. Gonna go over the inside stuff and the outside stuff coming up. It is a beautiful Sunday morning here in Western North Carolina. It's about 50 degrees out with a light breeze. And I put the plastic up in the last video you saw with the garden update, and I had moved some of the seedlings that had germinated inside in our germination tent out here just because I ran out of light space. So we're gonna bring you guys in to see. Some of the chard had just popped, and I moved everything out here that I had seen even a little germination on. So the lacinato kale down here, if you can see that, half of the tray, and we're still waiting for the collards. And then over here we have a lot of kale. So this is doing the exact same as the kale inside in under our light. So we have half a tray of curly kale and half a tray of red Russian here. Got more bright light chard there. And we have more chard down here. I did a ton of chard because I eat a ton of chard, and I'm gonna sell a ton of chard at Lotus, and I'm growing it for friends too, so I have hundreds of plants of chard. But the temperature in here is perfect for spring. Now the only thing to watch out for if you do put something in a greenhouse is, unless the sun comes out, and this is not glass. If this was glass, it would be 10 degrees warmer, but glass is an investment, and I rent. So at any point I could have to move. So I'm not building any permanent structures here. Same reason that a 10 by 20 greenhouse, that isn't up yet, and it's not metal poles, not a true high tunnel, is I might have to take it down, or I will take it down whenever I find land. So I'm not putting a ton of energy into that yet. But the temperature difference in the greenhouse isn't substantial, and I will still bring these guys inside at night if the temperature is going to drop anywhere near freezing. So this is not enough matter between the outside, even with the windows shut, to buffer against freezing. It's not airtight. Air is still seeping in, especially if it's cloudy. Now if we get some nice sunny days and I shut everything down and I can keep 5 or 10 degrees in here to buffer against a freezing night, that might work, but it's not worth it. None of these plants are tall enough or have enough strength to withstand even close to a frost. Lettuce especially just really doesn't like it. So I'll still have to bring them in and put them back in the germination chamber and bring them back out, which isn't ideal, but you'll thank yourself whenever you go to transplant and not everything's dead. So it's worth it. It's a pain in the butt for 3 weeks or 4 weeks until they go in the ground, but then you have food for 3 months. You have greens for 3 months. So do the work, and I have to remind myself of that all the time whenever it's pain. You know, even if it's raining or you can't see anything, you have to wear a headlight. It's a pain, but it gives you a purpose. You're growing something. They're your babies, basically. So take care of them, and it's almost like having a child, or like dogs. You have to think about how they're doing if you're going to let them outside or inside. Now, the one thing to mention is, if you do have a glass structure, it's better to keep them put. There is a significant stress response that happens, much like people, where you go hot, cold, where if they change environments too frequently and by too much variation, you are going to stress them out. They like this temperature, 50 degrees or 60 degrees, once they've popped. So once they've germinated, they love springtime temperatures. They're springtime crops. So crops like the temperatures during which they would normally be outside, as in once things have germinated, which everything usually requires a little warmer temperatures to germinate, just think soil heating up in the spring. Once they've popped through the soil, they are used to 10 degrees colder. So lettuce and all the spring crops are fine with 40 to 60 degrees temperature at night. But freezing, if they're still growing, they don't like, which is why people put them in greenhouses. But just think about how you would feel if you were outside with a coat all the time. So if you're uncomfortable being outside, they're probably uncomfortable. And a little stress is fine. But you don't want it to get anywhere near freezing when they're still in this stage and there's no first true leaves and their stems haven't developed at all. So bring them in. We're going to go inside to check on our indoor plants. All right, back inside. I apologize if my face is super bright. I turned the light on the camera just so you can see. These are some of the soaked seed that we did. So the broccolini, or the broccoli rabe, we did some peas, parsley, and spinach. And none of those seeds pop quickly anyway, except for the peas usually. But I don't see any popping. There is one parsley right there that's coming, but no real movement yet. There's a couple. The cool thing about vermiculite is, or if you put vermiculite on it, you can see when the seed is pushing it up. It'll make like a mound. So you can tell when things are germinating pretty readily. But I did notice some development on our peas right there, if you can see. There's a couple peas popping. So I will put those outside. They will go in the greenhouse. Peas are a very cold weather crop. They're the first thing you can direct seed in the winter, end of February in 6B usually. So they'll go outside so they don't start stretching. Although if they start stretching, that's fine. I don't want them to stretch too much since they will fall over, since they're a trellising plant anyway. But we'll move those outside, and they'll be a part of our greenhouse updates in the future. We'll go check on our under the light seedlings. An update on everything under our grow light. Some weird things happening that I had a feeling were going to happen, but otherwise everything looks great. So we have that is our dwarf scotch curly kale here. All of that is sprouted, so that's wonderful. That's doing just fine. I might actually move these outside because the leaves on the kale look like they're getting a little toasty under this light. And I have only 4 of the bulbs on this light going instead of 6. This is our red romaine here, doing wonderfully. Our chard is not fully germinated yet. And this is the usual thing that happens with chard, is they'll pop at different days, just because I probably didn't seed them at the exact same depth. You know, an eighth of an inch difference makes a difference when you're fighting soil. This is a weird tray. So half of that tray is germinated. And I think what happened with this one, according to the tag, is I had, that just says lettuce, I had half a packet of each lettuce and I just didn't label the sides and I just used whatever was left. So probably one side was one of the varieties, and green usually pops first. That's probably green romaine. And then if you can see, there's a couple little guys coming over here. So that's probably the red romaine, the Cherokee red. But everything looks like it's growing well. The chard is the only thing I'm concerned about because some of those look a little spindly. I probably didn't get them under light in time, or I didn't notice they popped, but most of them will be fine. And they're reaching a little bit just because they're on the edge. That's the only thing to worry about with having things under a light instead of natural sunlight. It's still not the same intensity as a cloudy day outside. So what I might do is rotate the trays, and that's not a bad idea, is if you see starts that are reaching like these guys, just move this tray to the middle of the light here and rotate the trays just so everything gets a shot in the middle. If things aren't reaching at all, no big deal, just leave them. But I need the chard to be robust with thick stems because it is a longer term crop. It'll be in the ground for 3+ months and the lettuce will not. So I need the chard to be able to withstand the rain and the wind that's going to have. The lettuce is going to be, a month in the ground and then eaten, so I don't care about it that much. And we'll be back with another update on all our seedlings in a couple days, or if I notice anything happening. Until then, build your community and get growing.